Hi, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
How's your week been going?
It's been a little rocky. I had an issue at work. My boss was just kind of on my case about my productivity, and he's not really happy with my performance and some other things. I got a speeding ticket, so that was kind of a big pain. Um, so it's been kind of tough. Kind of a tough week.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds tough, definitely. So, you talked about your boss being on your case and a speeding ticket. Those are like two separate things. Did you want to focus on one of those to start the session, or?
Well, I guess the issue with my boss is probably pretty important. You gotta make money, so.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Tell me what happened at work?
Yeah, he's just kind of calling me out, and he's got problems basically with me being late. I know I was late a couple weeks ago. So we kind of had a big meeting with all the employees, and just kind of made a big deal about people being late, and he's not been happy with productivity, and people are taking too long to get stuff done and showing up late. And it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of nervous.
And you said this happened in a group setting?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he was, he just kind of called everyone into the meeting room to kind of, address the issue. But I know he knows I was late last week, so I think it was, my fault that we had a meeting called.
And did he approach you after the meeting or say anything specifically to you, or it was just more of the general in the group setting?
No, he just had the meeting, said his piece, and then kind of told everyone to get back to work. So I was just, after that, I just kind of just tried to mind my own business and go back to work, and try and not draw any more attention to myself. I mean, I already caused a big scene, so.
Yeah, and it may have felt that he was singling you out or causing a big scene, but thinking about it more, do you think it was really about you, or do you think it was more about just a general comment to the whole group?
Well, I mean, I guess he was talking to the group, but I was late last week, so I guess I don't know. Yeah, felt like it was my fault, but I guess he did say it to the whole crew.
Yeah. I mean that's pretty common when you hear some criticism, even in a group setting. We might take it personally, but there's this automatic responses. We hear things and then we automatically think that something may be attributed to us. So do you think that maybe it's the case that you took something that maybe wasn't directed at you?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think you made a good point, that you didn't necessarily talk to me alone afterwards. So yeah, I guess, that could be kind of maybe thinking that about myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's common to take things personally. I mean, we hear things in a group setting, and we automatically think, oh, this is about me. But it sounds like maybe in this situation, it wasn't really about you at all. It was just about the whole group. We have these things that are called cognitive distortions.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, well, cognitive distortions, they're very common. It's just like a way of thinking. You get that automatic thought, and then you pair it with something else. So you heard late, and then you paired it with maybe that you were late one time. So
it's something that happens. I'm not the only person that has it.
No, not at all. They're very common. Throughout our lifetimes, it happens to all of us. And if it's something that you would want to change or alter, there's different practices you can do to help with that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I guess I never really looked at it that way. I was just in my own head, and definitely pretty stressed out. I knew I was late, and I was thinking about that, and during the whole meeting, I was definitely putting it on myself there.
Yeah. So I mean, this is good that we're talking about this, and it's good that I think that you're recognizing maybe you're putting too much pressure on yourself and putting too much of this circumstance on yourself. So if this is something that you want to work on, we can do work inside session, but then work outside session on noticing these thoughts, and maybe in the moment, if you wanted to, you could challenge them and see if they're really valid or not.
Okay. All right. I think that'd probably be a pretty good idea. I think that I might do this more often than I realize.
Okay.
I get pretty anxious pretty frequently with things like that. So.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that you can work on if you want.
Yeah. Great.
That's awesome. So do you want to talk more about your work situation, or did you want to switch topics and talk about that?
All right, Bob, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah. So I wanted to start off our meeting today with just a quick check-in, see how things have been going. We talked about identifying some of those cognitive distortions last week. So I kind of just see how that's been going, and then see if there's anything that came up we can chat about that.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the first thing is, we talked last week about my boss, the being late thing, and me maybe thinking that it was overly about me, and I ended up talking with him, pulling him aside and asking him, is this about me? And it was a cool meeting because he kind of just said like, no, like Bob, you're doing a really good job. Like that was just more about other people that have been late. It really just like let me know that I'm doing a good job. So it felt good to challenge that in session with you, and then when I got to talk to him, it just like validated that it really wasn't about me.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that that was kind of our big goal with that conversation. And I think that I'm glad that you got that kind of reaffirmation.
Yeah.
It wasn't having you. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So were you able to identify any other cognitive distortions throughout the week?
Well, there's one that I'm having a tough time with. It has to do with my son. He's in the ninth grade, and he failed a math test. And I got a call from the teacher saying that she's concerned and she wants to meet with me. And all I can think of is, this meeting is something about me, and that I'm not doing a good job as a parent. And I was able to see that, and maybe I want to talk more about that. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. I guess right off the bat, I'm just wondering, is there anything that you think you should change as a parent?
I guess I'm not too strict with them. I kind of let him, especially when it comes to schoolwork, like he does well, so I just kind of let him do what he needs to do. And, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So maybe I need to be strict.
Okay. All right. So I have an idea, just a way that we can kind of look at this issue, because I'd like you to be able to leave here today with some confidence going into this meeting that you have with your son's teacher.
Yeah.
So in looking at cognitive distortion, sometimes we do this thing where we practice examining the evidence. So what we'll do, if you're willing to kind of give this a shot today, is we'll examine the evidence for and examine the evidence against these feelings that you have that your son's grade is a direct result of your parenting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right, great. So I have this worksheet here. So it's pretty simple. So just in one column, it's examining the evidence for, and the next column is evidence against. So go ahead and fill that out, and then we'll take a look there.
Okay. But I think I'm going to do 2 on both sides. That's what pops up on the top of my head.
Sure. All right, great. Do you mind if I read this?
No, please.
Okay. All right. So let's. I think it might be a good idea. Let's start with the evidence that you have down here for these feelings.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing you have here is that you're not strict. You want to tell me a little about that?
Yeah. I like, especially when it comes to homework. I mean, like he's always gotten good grades. I used to check his homework all the time and make sure he's doing it, but he's in ninth grade now, so I figured, he's in high school, give him some independence with that, so maybe that's something I need to work on, being more strict. So maybe that is my fault.
Okay, all right. So we'll come back to that. So the next piece of evidence that you have here is that you don't check his homework.
Yeah, and that goes with the same thing before, like I think it's probably a parent's job to check the homework, and maybe I've been lax with that lately.
All right. All right, so let's move into the column that you have against this. So the first thing in that column is that he's never failed before.
Yeah, I mean he's a great kid, straight A's, like he's doing good in all of his other classes, and so maybe it's just thinking that it's not really my fault. Maybe it's just a tough subject for him.
And your next piece here is that he's a good kid, and that he just started high school.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe it's a transition thing. I mean, I know we all like have topics that we can't do well in, and maybe just this math is hard for him, and maybe he needs like an after school tutor or like extra help like that I couldn't help him with. I'm not very good at math, so
Sure, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Bob, it really seems, after looking at that, it really seems like you're really invested in your son's education.
Yeah, I try. I try.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's a good kid, so.
Yeah, and maybe this was just, this is kind of like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder now, kind of looking at that after kind of talking about that out loud, how you feel about those original worries that your son's failing grades as a result of the.
I think I really took it to heart, and I really maybe I made it more about me, and maybe it's just more about the situation, and the more that I think about it, who knows? Maybe this teacher doesn't want to criticize me. Maybe she just wants to get on the same page with me. So I think this helped to see it in black and white and put the pros and the cons on both sides. So.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to see you make some of those assertions, and yeah, I think it'll be great. I think it'd be great if you kept some of these things in mind that we talked about going into this meeting, and I hope that will kind of help you get through that.
Yeah, it'll definitely be helpful to keep that in mind as we go into that meeting. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else?
I don't think so. Yeah, everything else is going pretty good.